Hey guys, happy Friday. Thanks for stopping by for another episode here at All I See Is W. In today's video, we'll be covering the latest updates for Bitcoin, what's going on in the market. We'll also be covering updates with strategy. There's lots of huge upside news that's going to be coming, especially with Q2 closing out very soon. Most of you are wondering, what does this all mean for Bitcoin? How high can it go? What about strategy? It's been just coiled up, consolidating. When is it going to break out? The impatience is coming, but for those who are patient, will be rewarded. We'll go through all the technical analysis of Bitcoin and strategy. Don't miss it. Watch till the end, where I'll be giving you price predictions. Now, if you're new to this channel, first off, so thrilled that you're here, trying to make that 10,000 subscribers for this channel. Thanks for the love and support. Let's begin, guys. Let's first take a look at Plan B's post. I mean, he's saying Bitcoin is at an interesting point in time. 70 RSI. Traditional investors use a 30 to 7 RSI range. So they start to get worried that Bitcoin is overbought now. Bitcoin investors, on the other hand, know that the normal Bitcoin RSI range is 40 to 90. So RSI of 70 is only slightly above the average of 65. And for most of you who do not know what relative strength index is, so it's an indicator to represent whether a stock, commodity, in this case Bitcoin, whether it's being oversold or overbought. In most cases, like for example, when we had that last bear cycle when Bitcoin dropped to like 18,000, I mean the RSI was, you can see, around that 40 range. So oversold, that's a good time to buy. But of course, buy when there's blood on the street. That's basically a representation of, buying at the discount. Where we are right now, we haven't seen the RSI ramp up. I mean, with every historical bull run, we've seen RSI go above 90. And then the bull cycle before the 2020 bull run, we've seen it go up to 95. With every having event where we have a bull run, we see it, traditionally going up to like 90. So, with Bitcoin expected to have a breakout, be prepared to see, the dots be, above like the 90 RSI, which Plan B has talked about as well. So definitely very bullish. We're in a bull market and the relative strength hasn't even broken out for Bitcoin yet. HODL 15 posts just continuous updates. We're continuing to see BlackRock stack Bitcoin. I mean, they are the biggest, financial institution. I mean, they have trillions of dollars, but they continue to buy Bitcoin. They have the funds to do so. I mean, just take a look at how much Bitcoin they've been buying to support the IBIT ETF that was created, less than, a year and a half ago. So you look at the amount of Bitcoin bought this week from Monday through Thursday, close to 11,000 Bitcoins. I mean, they've been ramping up their purchases. They have close to over 100,000 Bitcoins more than strategy now. But, when you compare the two, strategy was like a, $100 million company at one point, a software company. But BlackRock, they have, investments everywhere in different sectors. So, it's different comparison. But, when you compare the amount of Bitcoin that strategy has to BlackRock, it's at a pretty similar level, just with a difference of like, high 590,000 to like 680,000, which BlackRock has. Ash Crypto posts, we have seen this before. Bitcoin reversal is coming. We had that, Elon Trump fight where they had a divorce and, we had some uncertainty going on. Tesla stock was dropping as well. And then what happened after that? Bitcoin started running back up to all-time high. And then what happened since? We had more news with the Iran-Israel Middle East war going on. But then since then, we've been, just healthily consolidating, getting back up into the, hundred thousands. Uh, you know, is Bitcoin going to start, breaking out with the reversal? Only time will tell. The Bitcoin therapist posts today. He's been monitoring James Wynn as much as how I am as well. I mean, James Wynn posted today, close my shorts. Is he bullish or bearish? I mean, James Wynn at one point he went 40x long Bitcoin bull, and then market manipulation happened. He got liquidated, and then all of a sudden, just with the last couple of weeks, he's been posting more bearish things. But what does this mean? Is he reversing now and then becoming bullish? I mean, this whole inverse Kramer thing, it's scary for him to be a bull because what if he's a bull and things go in reverse? So who knows? Hopefully, James is able to, build his, stack as much as how big, of amount he had before and just continue to win with everyone. Adrien Morris, an MSTR conviction believer. I mean, he's posting $450 plus by next week. So, where we are right now, strategy hovering below $400, it did pretty well today, especially with the run up with, Nasdaq, S&P making history all-time high, and then all of a sudden the updates with Trump in regards to Canada tariff news on implementing tariffs for United States exports that really shook the market up, and strategy held up pretty well. But I'm thinking that with MSTR it's primed like a cold spring. It's ready to break out. Jeff Walton, true North Star. I mean, he's been a believer of strategy, but he's posting 95.6% chance of MSTR qualifying for S&P 500 in 3 days. Does not guarantee inclusion, rather qualifies them for consideration. This will be the first time qualifying for the first, S&P 500 company in company history, and since adopting Bitcoin treasury strategy, TikTok next block. So with all the FASB changes, MSTR will really prove that they've made, net income for the last 5 quarters, and that will be shown, in late July when, Saylor, provides summary updates with Q2 performance. But we're looking very good because Bitcoin close to 108,000. Q1 ending end of March, Bitcoin was, very low, 70,000. So where we are today in terms of Bitcoin price growth compared to Q1, that's all going to be reflected in Strategy's income statement. Professor posts MSTR starts the day with the bull flag breakout with love 420, 430 target for initial target. So we continue to see these bull flags playing out. But just look at this trend line. We just see ebbs and flows. I mean, we had that upward motion and then it just started consolidating for so long, dropping, and then, a slight movement up, just consolidating, and it might just have that, that next leg up. Let's take a look at Bitcoin technical analysis. So key thing is, after that, run up all-time high, November consolidating all the way to like April timeframe, with lower lows getting to that point of 74,000. We then saw Bitcoin run back up to its prior resistance all-time high. And then we had that Elon news, and then it went back up, and then we had the Iran news, political updates, and now Bitcoin's holding up quite well. But is it getting ready? Is it getting primed to, gap up? We may very well see in the month of July for us to break into the, 120,000. I think that's very well achievable. We have a few days remaining until Monday. Josh Mandel, he's forecasting 115,000 is possible to end Q2, but I think July is going to be very bullish. We might even have Bitcoin break above 120,000. Only time will tell, but I believe, the overall trend, it's favoring the bulls at this time, especially with all of the macro updates. We're just seeing so many public companies buying up Bitcoin. Retail, I mean, 95% of the population doesn't even own Bitcoin yet, but with only like 6% of Bitcoin to be mined, just think about that. Once people are no longer able to buy on the OTC market with buyers and sellers, and once, there's not going to be that many sellers out there, you're going to have to revert to like the exchanges that have Bitcoin for sale. And at that point, once we see all these governments, public companies continuing to buy, Bitcoin is just going to get more and more depleted and scarce, like rare candy, for all the Pokemon enthusiasts. But that's what's going to happen. And what does that mean? That's going to drive up the price of Bitcoin. Global game theory is kicking in. All those macro scale updates are favoring the technicals. And, just with Bitcoin, relative strength hasn't really, been in the overbought situation or anything like that. It's been steadily, just plateauing, consolidating. So we may very well have the next leg up, which is looking very favorable for strategy. So looking at MSTR stocks, so just more so focusing on this bull flag. So key thing is as we zoom in, we see, the recent price action breaking out of this, mid-tier bull flag. That big bull flag that we had, I mean, it was hovering in this bull flag for like half a year for the most part, going from like 550 down to 220. So it dropped by like over 50%. Then gained back up, went to like 440, then, dropped to like 350, just priming, for that next leg up. I mean, this is going to show. I have this forecast of the next, bull flag pole setup. Just look at the MACD. I mean, MACD's in this bearish convergence for, since May 16. So we're expected for, the next wave of, green candlesticks on the MACD. Relative strength has been, steadily in the 50s. So, very well possible for it to run up. I mean, the last time when RSI was at 84 was November 2024. So, getting close to about a year now since, a relative strength that's gone up for that high where it went overbought. But that's good. We don't want relative strength to shoot up that quick. But I think that we're gonna have that third leg, up where, July, let's say Bitcoin goes up to, 120,000. We may very well get to that new all-time high of 603 before we head into the into the later phase of the year, more towards the second half, towards the end. We may very well get to that 100,000 per share for strategy. Let's take a look at the weekly charts of MSTR. So on the weekly, key thing is we see a green candle. So this is looking very good. I do think that where we are right now, it's looking very bullish for the next bull flag. The next pole is going to be established. I don't see this going down. I mean, just the fundamentals of strategy, they're going to show solid numbers on the actuals with earnings per share. With FASB change and talks with S&P 500 inclusion, this is really going to shoot up the price. A lot more investors are going to start putting their money on strategy. And just with Bitcoin price expected to break out, Tom Lee forecast 200, 250. Lowest is 150,000 for the year. This could, really position strategy for the next, gap up. The first half of the year was really bad. Last year, second half, it was doing well, but now it went in reverse this year. First half was really bad, but because first half was bad, second half will compensate for the remainder of 2025. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video where I provided my perspective of Bitcoin and strategy, where it could potentially be headed, as well as providing the latest updates with Bitcoin and strategy. If you enjoyed this content, I would really appreciate you hitting the like, subscribing. I'll talk to you on the next one. Thank you.